We all know that one character who's just too cheerful. Endless optimism, unlimited patience, constant happiness, nothing ever seems to get them. But what if we told you that even the happiest ones have a breaking point? Today, we'll be looking at the moments where these cheerful icons went on a full-on meltdown. And you're in for a treat with our first character. If you've ever watched Ed, Edd and Eddy, you know he's a big lad who's very likely to eat an entire bloody door if you told him it's a snack. This guy is the literal definition of all brawn and no brain. Like, he can casually lift an entire house if he wanted to.
Chicken! Stop it! Chicken! I'm not a chicken!
Here, Eddie! Lots of hurt. Hold the onions.
Okay, fine, I'm a chicken!
Ed?
For most parts of the show, he's the embodiment of ignorance is bliss and just cheerfully goes about his day, either obsessing over chickens or hanging out with his buddies. But when this absolute unit decides to wake up on the wrong side of bed in little Ed Blue, every single person in the cul-de-sac knows that they're dealing with an Avengers-level threat. It all starts with Eddie making a killing through a budget cinema he set up in Ed's garage, which then turns into a food fight. Then Ed shows up in a foul bloody mood, looking like he's ready to headbutt the sun, and single-handedly kicked every living thing out of that garage. The kind of mood that even got Sarah, the same annoying brat of a sister who usually treats him like her personal footstool, literally and metaphorically speaking, by the way. And one thing to know is that if she backs out of pure fear, something has gone very wrong with the universe.
Away with you, unwanted pesterers!
Ed! You listen to me, mister. You can't kick me out. I live here too!
So move!
Ed and Eddy, being the caring idiots they are, spend the entire episode desperately trying to figure out what set him off. And for every single time, Ed just gave him clear and obvious signs to off.
To get over yourself. 1, smile, you miserable. 2, snap out of it, you torment me!
It doesn't just stop there. After a bunch of trials and even more errors, Eddie has finally had enough and smacks Ed in the head, telling him to get over whatever he's facing. Which, to be fair, is a valid reaction. After all, Ed used him to divide an entire tree into two. But oh boy, that was the worst mistake of his life. That's when Ed goes thermonuclear. He physically rips his own unibrow apart with his hands, which is already sending me, and a clear indicator of the horrors about to happen. Then he screams so powerfully that it rips Eddie's shirt clean off of his body and straight up knocks out Double D. That's when he picks up the tree stump that he was sitting on and proceeds to completely annihilate every single thing in the playground. And for the entire time, nobody can stop him. Because what are you gonna do against a dude who can casually munch on a slide and rip out the swings and everything with his teeth? Just before he's about to end Plank, Johnny's one and only best friend, Johnny ends up being the key person to solve the problem. Plank tells him, through whatever means these two communicated with, to take off Ed's shoe. And you know what caused all of this madness? A pebble.
You're on the move!
So yeah, this kid could have turned the entire cul-de-sac into a wasteland because of a pebble. Of course, it's not one of the strangest reasons for a legitimate crash out, because if you've watched our previous video on the times where the nicest cartoon characters snapped, you'll know there are even more ridiculous reasons that could make someone absolutely lose it. You can check out that one after this one, yeah? Now, If Ed is the gentle giant who snaps when physically uncomfortable, Darwin Watterson is something a little different. He's the sweetheart who snaps when he's had one too many lessons in self-expression. If you watch The Amazing World of Gumball, you know that this show has tons of crazy moments for the characters like Ocko, Rob, and the Eldritch Horror herself, Nicole Watterson. But then we have Darwin, the moral centre of the Watterson family. He's a goldfish who grew legs because of the power of love. Seriously, that's his actual origin story. He's sweet, kind, and is the kind of person who will apologise to a door for walking through it.
I think I just realized that all this is coming from my fear of abandonment. I'm projecting my anxieties onto my brother and forgetting to actually live my own life. Dude.
But every once in a while, he switches up something like this. And this show made it a mission to find more and more ways to light the fuse of this goldfish. Like in The Words. The episode starts on the school bus, where Darwin is sitting next to Susie, which in itself is the equivalent of a death sentence. And Darwin would do anything to get out of the situation, even get knocked out, but he just couldn't bring himself to say anything about it. So, he asked Gumball for help. And Gumball, being the relatively normal one in the equation for once, tells Susie that she's being loud. And she goes quiet immediately without any hassle. And Darwin watches this in total awe, like he's just witnessed some sort of miracle. That's called telling others to shut the up.
Which noise do you prefer? Or?
Excuse me, Sassy, but can you be a little bit quieter, please?
Certainly, young Gumball, I'd be more than happy to oblige.
At first, things were all right. Gumball teaches his bud how to be honest with others and tell them what he thinks. You know, how not to bottle up your opinions and speak for yourself, which is, you know, that's all good. But within about 30 seconds of learning to speak his mind, Darwin has insulted the entire school.
See?
Oh my gosh, your hand! It's covered in germs! There.
And no, it doesn't stop there. The peak of this happens in the classroom. There, every little noise from everyone drills into him like a dentist tool. That's where he's had enough. And he starts to rip into every single one of them like a complete sociopath. Even Miss Simeon couldn't say a bloody word about it.
And as for you, the only thing worse than hearing you slurp your coffee is watching it stick to your rancid lady mustache!
Everything all leads to some sort of rip-off Street Fighter insult battle in school, which ends up with Gumball telling him that he's just a pet fish as a last resort. And this was more than enough to send Darwin back into his usual state. Obviously, they make up, and that brief moment made him realise that honesty without empathy doesn't make anyone nice. It just turns you into a massive prick. Actually, we think Darwin might be our favourite character in this entire show. In one moment, he's the usual kind and lovable fellow. In the other, he's one of the sassiest characters in the entire show. And we love every moment of it. But despite how happy and positive he is, we can all argue that he doesn't come close to Phineas. Yeah, that's a name you probably weren't expecting to hear in this video. But we kid you not. This kid is the definition of a high-functioning optimist who is still positive enough to believe that he can put on a shirt every single day with that Dorito-shaped head of his, and can somehow still have 1,000,001 ideas of how to break every known law of physics in a summer vacation. So when you do hear that he's in a list of cartoon characters who lost it, you better believe that he really did lose it.
Phineas, I'm not gonna get on a silly little tricycle.
Candace, we're in a hurry. Just get on the trike and
There's
we'll go.
no way I'm
Get on
gonna-
the trike!
In the entire show, there aren't a lot of moments where he went absolutely feral, like the one where he orders Candace to get on a tricycle, which is a clip that will forever crack me up, and the one where he gets really angry at her for messing up an invention which accidentally turned Baljeet into a monster, which just shows how rare it is to see these guys angry.
Your help this morning messed us up so badly, we came this close to being wiped out at the mall. I thought you would have learned your lesson.
But the one that takes the cake is the Across the Second Dimension episode. In the movie, Phineas and Ferb find out about Perry's secret occupation in the worst possible way. They follow Doofenshmirtz through a portal to an alternate dimension, and the evil version of Doofenshmirtz uses the moment to blow Perry's cover, having the cyborg alternate Perry attack the kids. Of course, that means that Perry has no other choice but to reveal himself. The moment he puts on his little fedora, that's when something within Phineas snaps.
So this is where you disappear to every day? You come here and fight this guy?
No, he fights me. He doesn't really know this guy.
You fight a pharmacist? Why would you?
And it didn't just stop here. Throughout the whole moment their lives were in danger, Phineas was completely caught up with the fact that his pet couldn't even trust them enough to reveal his secret. And throughout the moment they're running for their lives, Phineas was still hung up on this discovery.
I'm sorry, I'm just having trouble processing this right now. So you've discovered your pet is a secret agent. I don't want your pamphlet.
He could have died during this, and his last words could have been, "I'm disappointed in you, Perry," but that's not all either. When Perry is forced to give himself to the alternate Doofenshmirtz to keep the kids safe, Phineas, still burning with betrayal, disowns it to his face and sends him away.
Did it ever occur to you that we could help you? That we could have made a great team? But I guess you can't have teamwork without trust. You don't have to sneak away anymore. We know your secret. You can just go.
The thing that makes this one so striking is that Phineas is never meant to be in the show. He's the kid who sees the best angle in every situation and every single person. And for him to be this hurt feels very wrong. But thankfully, he does come around. And the goodbye scene before their memories get wiped at the end of the movie is beautiful and heartbreaking in equal measures. Phineas is usually the one keeping everyone together. So it really is bizarre when he's showing a personality other than, "I know what we're gonna do today." But no disrespect to the guy or anything, he's a neat character. Honestly, we can't blame him for how he reacted there. You'd be pretty pissed too if you found out that my platypus has been a secret agent too, right? But if there's one thing that isn't a secret, it's the fact that Teen Titans Go is a f***ing strange show. That's what we'll have a look at with the next character, Starfire. In the original Teen Titans, she's an alien princess who struggles with human connections. But in the Go version, she's basically a hyperactive kitten with I-beam. She's about as cheerful as the word cheerful could be, and greets everything with open arms and an open heart. If you want to know how friendly she is exactly, she tried being friends with a waffle iron. Isn't that enough proof already?
I'll miss you. I'll miss you too.
Sure, despite her warm-hearted approach to the world, there are more than enough times that she just becomes a straight-up savage. One of the things that brings out that side of her is Silky, her pet, mutant, alien, whatever it is. When the Titans lost track of Silky, when she went for a little holiday and she found out she went absolutely bonkers and was ready to deliver the judgment of God upon her friend. The other moment that made her lose it is in the episode Mr. Butt. It all started with Blackfire escapes from an intergalactic prison and shows up at the Titan's tower, claiming she just wants to spend time with her little sister. Every other Titan immediately knows that something's up, but Starfire was willing to give her sister a chance. So they have their whole sister bonding montage, and Blackfire fixes her sister up with a complete makeover. So, she gives her sister a complete makeover to look like her when the intergalactic police robots show up. Starfire gets arrested instead and sent straight to alien prison to serve her sister's sentence, while Blackfire gets away scot-free after tricking her sister. Normally, Starfire would have overlooked this kind of thing, as she's always done in the past, but no, she absolutely wasn't having any of that this time around. She rips the sleeves off her prison uniform, burns a tattoo into her arm with her own I-beams, and starts working the bloody hell out.
You have broken my heart, sister, and now I will break you.
As Starfire prepares for her villain arc, the Titans are teaching Blackfire how to be a good sister, which works about as well as you'd expect at first. But surprisingly, she actually learns and becomes a good person. Meanwhile, Star is already long gone. The time she breaks out and comes back to the tower, she is out for blood. And she didn't even give a single f about whatever kind of saint Blackfire had become.
You have never done anything for me except use me and trick me and get me into trouble. It's too late for the sorry.
Of course, Starfire takes her sister and mobs her across the entire city. But for the first time, Blackfire tries to talk things out and even returns the doll that she stole from her sister.
You really have changed. Yes, I have. So have I.
Honestly, that has got to be one of the coldest lines that this show has to offer, especially from a show that features a song about waffles. The lesson the episode teaches isn't that forgiveness is always the answer. Just like a famous quote says, if you forgive too many times, one day say fuck that and beat the person's ass. I mean, it's probably Sun Tzu or something. Anyways, we now get to the big one. No pun intended. Actually, fuck that. We intended the pun wholeheartedly. Now, we'll talk about Steven Universe. If you watch the original series, you know that Steven is the ultimate peacemaker. He spent 5 seasons trying to redeem literal space dictators, corrupted gems, and basically all sorts of people that are out to kill him. And he does it all with a smile, a ukulele, and a sincere belief that everyone deserves love. But then we have Steven Universe Future, the epilogue series that asks the questions that nobody really wanted to sit with. What happens to the kid who saves everyone when nobody saves him? Of course, we find out that answer pretty quickly. He starts falling apart over the course of months, starts glowing pink, has trouble controlling his powers, and starts growing uncontrollably.
Steven's here to help! Steven's here to help! Steven's here to help! Oh, Garnet, I see you're making some new friends.
Now, you get that big joke from earlier, eh? Anyways, so he shuts down feelings that he doesn't know how to process, throws himself into fixing everyone else's problems as a way of not having to look at his own, and because he's been the strong one for so long, no one really notices, or maybe they do and don't know what to say. Either way, by the time things finally come to a head in I Am My Monster, Steven has been carrying far too much for far too long. At the spot, Steven breaks down, finally admitting to everyone everything he's been bottling up, every mistake, every terrible thing he's done, or nearly done across the whole future he fought with his dad, shattered Jasper, and nearly shattered White Diamond while he was controlling her body.
It wasn't that important, you guys. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Dad and I had a little disagreement. I mean, it would be weird if we didn't, right?
At that point, he declares that he's a monster, and since his gem powers are tied to his emotions, he literally becomes an enormous kaiju-looking monster. And everyone who's ever cared about him has to stand there and reckon with the fact that this happened because they didn't see it coming, or didn't act on it, or actively contributed to the pile of trauma that this kid has been burying for years. But it wasn't all doom and gloom though. One by one, all the people that Steven knows, even the diamonds, reach out to him and tell him what he's meant to them until he returns to his normal form. And frankly, it's the most peaceful he's looked all series. This breakdown isn't like the rest we've covered here. It's more of a slow descent into madness after several years of untreated trauma. The kid spent all of his years fighting wars, being kidnapped, and dealing with the fact that his mother was basically a cosmic war criminal. And it took a literal group hug from everyone he's ever helped to bring him back. And even then, he was left with the realization that he's not the perfect hero that everyone thought he was. He's just a guy who needs a lot of bloody therapy. It just goes to show that you should always be wary of the cheerful ones, because they're usually just one bad day away from a total meltdown. And you know what? If you don't subscribe, Not Fair Studios might get a breakdown. Don't test us. Cheerio!